Hey everyone, today we're going to be going over a deposit and credit workflow that I think will work really great for a lot of builders for cost plus and fixed price projects. In this instance, we're on a cost plus project just because it's the one I happen to have open in front of me. And so in this example, let's say we're wanting to collect a deposit from our customers. What I can do is I can do a new invoice by amount, which is from scratch. And from here, I can simply say, well, great, I'm going to do a customer deposit for 122. I'm going to use the deposit cost code that I've set up in my account, and I'm going to say it's a $50,000 deposit, and I'm going to zero out my markups here since I just want to collect a flat $50,000. So I've created this line here, perfectly good. I'm going to hit the save button. And then on this invoice, I'm just going to turn off the tax and markup column and summary data here and just send out to my customer a deposit invoice for $50,000. I'm going to save, and I'm going to release this out to my quote unquote customer. And then from here, I can go back to the budget page. And what we're going to see is that the project deposit line has showed up here because we now have data for it. But nothing's going to be under applied actuals because it's not a bill, it's not an expense to our company. We're purely just invoicing the customer for this. So we have got under our invoice summary, we've invoiced and we have $50,000 outstanding. Let's say in this example, the client paid, the collected would be $50,000 as well, which is great. Well, now we're going to go ahead and do our first progress invoice or our first invoice from actuals for this project. And I've got a little framing expense here. So what I can do is I can do a new invoice from actuals, and that is going to pull that bill here onto the project. Now we're going to look like we're overbilled, already invoiced on this very small project. It's going to look a little different for like larger projects. But what I'm able to do here is I'm going to invoice my customer for this framing labor that we have here, and I'm going to add an additional item. So this is a new function that we have as part of Invoice Flexibility. And what I'm going to be able to do is do a deposit credit. I'm just going to put 122 because that's today. We're going to use that same customer, that's project deposit. I think that's the one we used. And what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to do a negative. So it was a negative, let me see what it was here. A negative $1,500. It's going to do a negative 450 in the markup, just so we're tracking the cost and markup side of this. And it's going to be negative 1950, just like we have the positive 1950 here. So what we're actually doing is we're invoicing the customer for $0. We're using the deposit to cover our first expense or expenses here. And when I actually save, and we'll turn off tax because this project doesn't have tax. But what we can see here is we've credited this back to the customer. We're going to hit save and release. And what we'll notice is that when I go back to the budget for this project, we haven't changed anything with our budget because we still have those actual expenses. We're going to notice that the collected has changed a little bit here. But what I can do is scroll over to my invoice summary, and now we have $1,950 collected for framing labor. We haven't collected anything yet for project deposit. We didn't process any money here, but we have $1,950 invoiced for framing, and we have $48,050 left in our project deposit. So what we've done here is we've moved the money out of project deposit and added it into framing labor. So this is going to really, really help with keeping track of what's left in your deposit. You can show this invoice line to your customer so that they can see where their deposit is going. You can still send those $0 invoices out to them, but this is going to allow you to draw down from a project deposit without having to create multiple invoices to do so. So one invoice with our actual expenses and the credit back to our customer. And we can do this on a fixed price project as well with invoice from actual or invoice from our original budget and changes, and then adding in those credits as well. So this works really nicely to create a deposit workflow that allows you to collect deposit money, credit it back to the customer, show them where that deposit money is going if you want to, and give them an invoice summary on the project budget that they can then see. And a reminder, under customer view, you can always change the columns that your customer is able to see if you're sharing the budget with them. Let us know if you have any questions. I think this workflow is going to be really great for a lot of our builders, especially cost plus builders who need to take customer deposits but don't want to have to create multiple invoices. Thanks.